Once they've made a placement, a lot of recruiters walk away and hope for the best. What have you taken on from Recruitment Guide when it comes to how to help a client maximise the chances of keeping their new recruit?
So the most important thing to do at the beginning of any placement is to make sure that the client has a detailed induction process in place for the candidate. There's nothing worse than a candidate starting a job, turning up on their first day, being sat down at a desk and left to just get on with it. So if we get feedback from our candidates that maybe that is going on, we will immediately feed that back to the client, talk to them about what our other clients do to induct candidates and hope that they change and improve.
James is very keen to point out just how important it is to keep in contact with your candidate through the vulnerable first stages of the placement. What do you think about that?
Absolutely. One of the best things that the guide has taught me is to remember that in the early stages of the placement, I, the recruiter, probably have a better relationship with the clients than the candidate does. The first few months of any job can be tricky, so we have to make sure that the candidate feels fully supported by us. If anything is going wrong, I will go meet the candidate for a coffee, take them out for lunch, give them as much support as they need to ensure that the placement sticks and the candidate's happy.
What sort of questions would you ask to find out how they're getting on so far?
I always ask my candidate who they get on with best in the company. This gives me an insight into whether they've made friends in the company first of all, and the types of people that they're spending their time with. And the more people that they openly and freely talk about, the more settled I know they are in the job.
Apart from talking about the induction process, what else can you discuss with the client to make sure everything goes smoothly in a placement?
You have to make sure that the client delivers on all of the promises that they've made to the candidate. For example, if in the interview process the candidate gets told that they're going to be flown out to San Francisco for sales training, we need to make sure that that candidate is on a plane to San Francisco within their first 3 months. If the candidate's expectations get mismanaged, it is the worst thing in the world for the client.
If there are issues on either side, what is the best approach?
So first and foremost, honesty. As the recruiter, I am the mediator between the client and the candidate, and I have an understanding of both sides. So if I get an inkling of a problem in the first few months of a placement, the first thing that I'll do is speak to the candidate about exactly how they're feeling about the matter. I'll then speak to the client in a very honest, open and direct way. If you leave the two to get on with it themselves, that's when I find feelings tend to get hurt, which is a disaster for the placement. And if you just ignore the problem, then it escalates and a small problem can become a very big one, which can end in the candidate leaving.
What would you say is the best possible outcome of providing a really excellent detailed service?
I'd say there's two. The first one being referrals. If you've given a candidate a great attention to detail driven service, that candidate is going to refer you to their friends who are probably going to be in a similar industry looking for a similar type of job. As a recruiter, if you approach a new candidate off the back of a referral from one of their friends or colleagues, half the battle really is won. Secondly, I would say the people that we're placing today are the future managers of the companies that we're placing them into. So if you've given a candidate a great attention to detail driven service, that candidate is probably going to come back to you as a client later on in the future. I can actually remember one of the first candidates I ever placed is now one of my best clients. He's happy, I'm happy, everybody wins.